Alright, this is going to be Season 32 end season patch notes. We're gonna go through Survivors first, and then Hunters, and then the other small bits and pieces that we can do. But I just want to tell you that I've edited this 10-minute video for the last 6 hours, and I would appreciate it if you like and sub. If you do, of course. Bye-bye. So who's first? First will be Fire Investigator. Fire Investigator reduce the time to trigger the repulsion from 0.3 seconds to 0.2 seconds. This is quite a bit of a big buff because now it takes a shorter time to actually utilize the speed boost from airbags. Then what you have is another buff in which it increases the maximum throwing distance of airbags from 8.43 meters to 12.65 meters. So this is like a 4.2 meter increase, as you can see on the video now as well. There will be a left to right comparison. Left is pre-buff, right is post-buff, so before buff and after buff. Then you will be able to see the last buff of Fire Investigator. Some people might think this is more or less just an adjustment, but here's the reason why it's a buff. So we reduced the decoding slowdown of temporary threshold from 10% to 5%, and the decoding speed boost cap from 15% to 10%. Why is this a buff? It's because of the fact that if you aren't chased for the early game, you've only 5% decoding debuff instead of 10%, and the decoding speed boost cap from 15 to 10%. Okay, that might seem like it's nerf, but it's still the same. Fire Investigator still gets 105% decoding boost when he did contain the Hunter for a little bit, but this is just to allow Fire Investigator to get his 5% buff faster, or to nullify the 5% debuff faster. So you know what, Fire Investigator actually got pretty much of a decent buff this season. Next, we're going to be able to see Weeping Clown. So for Weeping Clown, the first buff is the fact that we reduced the rocket cooldown from 20 seconds to 16 seconds. So now you can actually use your items a bit faster now, right after it's gotten into cooldown. Then the next part is that the speed of the rocket dash with passengers has been changed from a constant speed to a fast start that gradually slows down. I'm assuming this means that at the start of the rocket dash it will be fast, and then afterwards it will, be back to normal speed afterwards. So this is just to prevent the Hunter from hitting the Survivor that was actually on the rocket. Then we have our nerf, in which we reduce the duration of Weeping Clown using the rocket. So as you can see on the screen as well, this is left and this is the right. Let's see the difference of how long it took away from us. Now, to be fair with you, right after testing this from both test and normal server, it seems like it's the same speed at the end of the day, so I'm not sure whether this is going to be implemented or not. So now the next is Postman. Postman received quite a big buff. So the first buff is the fact that his sending failure no longer triggers cooldown. What is sending failure? Example, trying to send a letter to Survivor that's on chair or that's being ballooned. So that's sending failure, or that's dead on the ground. Next will be the Postman's Dog. So the Post Dog bounce effect is changed from slowing the Hunter down by 35% for 5 seconds to entangling the Hunter for 1 second, followed by a 35% slowdown for 2.5%. Then you will have Cowboy. Cowboy has now a toggle feature in which it will hide the Hunter's special balloon holding accessory, and it has been added to settings. This can be activated, but of course when it's activated, instead of the accessory effect, it will be the normal balloon effect. It is only visible from Cowboy's perspective and no one else. So on the left hand side, as you can see, there is the deactivation. On the right hand side, it has been activated. Next will be Composer. Now when Composer reaches max decoding stage for tonal sensation, you can now start auto calibration when it can be activated. This is pretty good, especially with the fact that if you do fail one by accident, you basically reduce a little bit of a decoding speed. Yes, it might not seem like a significant much, but this is still pretty good at the end of the day because of the fact that once you reach max, you can just keep decoding while looking around to see if the Hunter's near you. And then next will be Explorer. So for Explorer's external change, the energy reserves, the trigger condition is changed from not moving for 10 seconds to not moving for 6 seconds. And of course the speed boost is changed from 10% movement speed boost for 5 seconds to 25 movement speed boost for 4 seconds. This is quite a big buff for Explorer. Okay, next is Acrobat. For Acrobat, it's a little bit confusing, so I'll break it down for you. So they basically said that they've optimized the decoding progress for external trait impromptu. So that's for Snowball. When you decode, you gain you gain percentages for getting a second Snowball. But when the Hunter abnormals, your progress will actually go back alongside with abnormal. Now, I know this might sound a little bit odd, but as you can see here, when you decode and then the Hunter abnormals, your snow trait actually goes back alongside with abnormal, but if you don't decode and the Hunter abnormals, it does not regress. So that's kind of like a bug fix here for Acrobat. Now, that's going to be the end of the survivors buffs and nerf. We'll be moving on towards the Hunter right now. So what is there for Hellenberg? Hellenberg received quite a bit of a big buff. So for Hellenberg, the initial progress as rage is increased from 50% to 80%. So that is quite a lot. And the progress is increased by 0.2 seconds per for when we are not in pursuit. So this is really good, especially for chair camp as well, when you need that phantom to be used. Now the second part of this is the extra rage acquired when controlled by a survivor, excluding being stunned by a pallet, is reduced to 60% of the original level. So you don't get as much if you get gunned by the Hunter, for an example. The next part is we reduced the recovery time of miss hits for both normal attacks and charge attacks by 0.2 seconds. So now you can recover your attack animation by 0.2 seconds for normal attacks and charge attacks. That's quite a big buff. Nice buff. And we've optimized the attack judgment of hitting scenarios. I'm assuming this means the red puppet. Here's a video of me trying to hit Seer and failing miserably. But of course, next will be Opera Singer. We've now adjusted the speed of Shadow Leap at tier 2 to be consistent with tier 0, meaning that the leap distance will still be the same. And of course, the increased recovery time of miss hits for both normal and charge attacks is increased by 0.14 seconds and 0.07 seconds repeatedly. So that just means that normal attack, your attack recovery for misses will be increased by 0.14 seconds, and for charge attack will be increased by 0.07 seconds. Next will be Shadow. Shadow will also be receiving quite a bit of a big nerf. So the first one is that we will be reducing Yetian's movement speed boost from 8.44 meters to 7.59 meters per second. Here's a side-by-side comparison. The second nerf is after a survivor is eliminated. So once when one survivor is eliminated, the time to dismantle the corrupted Ostrakon, in which we call Artifact, is reduced from 20 seconds to 12 seconds, and the dismantling time is reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. This allows the survivors to get an easier tie, especially in rank, so that's quite a big nerf. And of course, the last biggest nerf is we increase the cooldown of tier 2 ability from 38 seconds to 43 seconds. So that's the transfers of corruption when you teleport towards your artifact. Okay, here's some extra stuff that have been buffed and nerfed. So the first one will be the increased initial cooldown of active trait teleport from 40 seconds to 50 seconds. As you see here, I did bring trait and it was originally 50 seconds or 40 seconds, and now it's been increased to 50 seconds. So that's a trait nerf. The next one is going to be for Embalmer. Embalmer's invisibility during Rebirth will now be affected by Shadow Corruption. If you have seen in tourneys before, when Embalmer doesn't get affected when he is in immunity form, but now I guess he will be. The next one will be when survivors are attacked by hunters, they will automatically switch from walking to running. Here's a video showcasing that. Next, we will be able to see we adjusted some survivors' ability to trigger by pressing a button and unified trigger rules for mobile and client desks. It's just, for this one, I think it's just for basically UI, user interface issues. So they are fixing something like that. The next one is going to be the minimap. As you can see on the top right corner here, you do have the Fog of War, but if you open the minimap, you can see everything inside here. Now, there is one issue, and that's the fact that it will not remember the position of the dungeons anymore. So that is one thing to keep in mind from now on. But of course, aside from that, from the hunter's point of view, you can see where all the cipher machine is anyway, so that's pretty good for you. But from the survivors, not so much. The last part is that you can actually disable the map interaction, so that's about that. Now, there's also one last thing I want to address. They decided to adjust the attack judgment redesign. It's addressed the fast and slow hit issue caused by server delay, in which they have redesigned attack judgment for all hunters, make it more stable and aligned with animation. I also don't know what this means, but it is something. And that's going to be the end of Season 32 adjustments. We'll be able to see these adjustments coming out for Season 33. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you do, why not leave a like? If you're new around here, hey, when I sub, I upload a video. I don't do that. But anyways, bye bye for now. Have a good day. Good night, everyone. Bye.